All right, once again, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin. This is SmellGoodz, your place for fragrance reviews and content and commentary. All right, so thought I'd do a video on the fragrances that I have in my collection that I've received the most compliments so far this year. Now, bear in mind, I am really just getting started with my on my fragrance journey as far as building my collection. But I thought I've received some compliments on some. I've got, I think, 7 fragrances here that are my most complimented of what I've worn. Granted, it's a growing list. And then there is one that I'll throw in as an honorable mention just because I no longer have the bottle, but it's something that definitely is noteworthy in my opinion of what I've received compliments on. So if this is content that you enjoy, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications, and then share. Meet me in the comments. Let me know what you think of my list, as well as what you are getting compliments on, as well as what your scent of the day is. I always want to know that information. All right, this is not in any particular order. I have not kept notes on I received a compliment on this fragrance at 3 p.m. on the 4th of January or anything of that nature. Don't do that, but just when I was going through my collection for this video, thought these are ones I know I've gotten some compliments on and wanted to add to the list because I think there are some noteworthy ones in here. All right, we'll start off with one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites from the house of John Varvatos. This is Artisan Blue. This is a very nice marine aquatic smell. I just love a lot of things out of the John Varvatos line and the house. And this one I got really on a blind buy, got it really at a great price. But this one I love, especially in this heat, because I live in Phoenix. So 110, 115 degree weather as it probably is today. This is something that definitely rocks well with it, and it does generate compliments for me. This is one that with my skin and where I've been wearing it, sometimes I wear it to the office and things of that nature. It definitely does get some attention and notice. So again, John Varvatos, Artisan Blue. You can probably get this for like $25, $30 if you know the right discounters. Still, you probably can get it even at other discounters, probably in the $40, maybe $50 range, but good fragrance. I got that as a tester, so that's why I'm saying the $25, $30 range. All right, next one on the list is one that it's on my list. I think I've only gotten one compliment on it, but I think that's more due to the fact of when I wore it and the fact that I haven't worn it since then. And this is Lattafa's Eternal Oud. All right, yeah, this one, first of all, the bottle is just, it's an interesting bottle. It's the design. Lattafa does some great designs as far as their fragrance or their bottles and what have you. But this one is a very ambery vanilla scent, but it's too heavy for me in, the high heat. So I wore it, I got it shortly before, it started turning really warm here. And I did get a compliment out of this when we were in the airport and someone in the elevator was like, oh my goodness, you smell great. And this is one of those scents that I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to wearing this again when it gets cooler. This is just a great scent. It is a clone of Grand Soir, I believe, from MFK. So this isn't a comparison of 1-to-1 or anything of that nature, but it is just a great and amazing scent. And this is something you can pick up pretty reasonably. Again, has great presentation. Again, this is Eternal Oud by Lattafa. Another great one. All right, let's get out of our Lattafa, out of our John Varvatos. Let's get into this one here, Cedrat Boisé by the House of Mancera. This is another one that I absolutely just adore and love. This one is, now this is, yes, in the DNA, if you will, of Creed Aventus, not a 1-to-1. It's in the family, kind of like a second cousin, if you will. This though is one of my favorite scents of what I've got in my collection so far. Pressurized atomizer, just pointing that out because again, I love the presentation by Mancera as far as the bottle, nice heavy bottle. The scent is great. This is something that you can wear pretty much anywhere. It's a good everyday scent if you want to. But I've gotten quite a few compliments from this one. I've got a couple of, what are you wearing? Those type of things. And that again is Mancera Cedrat Boisé. Great fragrance. In fact, we were on vacation not too long ago. We had gone on a cruise, and I had taken some of my travel sprays just to kind of test out some things. So I was testing some new fragrances, but I did not take this, of course. And so came back home and, got back to my collection, and I was like, I'm home, right? This was a good one. So Mancera Cedrat Boisé is another one that is a compliment getter, in my opinion. Next we'll kind of jump back to kind of sticking in that same Creed vein, if you will. But this is Club de Nuit Milestone. This is their take on Millésime Imperial by Creed, by the House of Creed. This is by Club de Nuit. This is an Armaf fragrance. Listen, that salty aquatic smell. This is a good one. Nice heavy bottle. This is a good compliment getter, and it is very close to Millésime Imperial, in my opinion. Not a 1-to-1. I don't think anything can really be a 1-to-1, but this is probably in that 90+ percentile of fragrances, or of clones, I should say, of Millésime. Again, great compliments with this one. Milestone Club de Nuit by the House of Armaf. All right. Next, again, we're kind of on a roll with our Creed things. This one is Supremacy by Afnan. Supremacy Silver. You can see the silver bottle there playing in the light there. This one is, again, another Creed Aventus lane, if you will. This one opens with a heavy pineapple and then dries down with that nice smokiness for me. This one, I've only had it a short time, but wore it into work a couple of times and got nice compliments off of it as well. This is one that my wife wants to check and see kind of where I'm going when I'm wearing it. Not that she doesn't trust me, but she's like, no, that's not just something you just wear out and about. This is something that has to have a purpose, at least for my wife. But that's Supremacy Silver by Afnan, which is, yes, a Creed Aventus clone, but a pretty good one in my opinion. All right. And then the last two, and then I'll give my honorable mention. The last two are really the ones that I've had probably in my collection since I really started collecting again a little earlier this year. And the ones that in many respects are kind of responsible for me jumping into this space of fragrance collecting as a hobby. I have been seeing these on TikTok. It's like, okay, well, price is pretty reasonable. Let me at least check them out. And they told me some things, or they revealed some things to me, just as far as this whole space of fragrances and what's available and things of that nature. The first one that we'll talk about is Lattafa's Camera. In fact, I might have to do a video on my top Lattafa fragrances that I got so far. This one is just a cinnamon, boozy, gourmand fragrance that just hits. It just hits. Perfect for date nights. I remember I wore this like Valentine's Day. My wife and I had a date and with some other couples, and it hit for me. And so this is a great fragrance. A little too much for me, again, in this high heat weather, but something that definitely, as it cools down, I'm looking forward to getting back to wearing. But this is just a great one. It is in the family, if you will. It's kind of the fifth cousin, twice removed, of Angel Share. It's not a 1-to-1. I wouldn't even consider this a clone. It's in the family, if you will. It's in the vein of it, but this is not something I would look to as a clone of Angel Share, but I do get kind of that comparison that people make. But this right here is a compliment getter as well. It is unisex, so it can be rocked by both male or female. And it's something that I think just smells great, period. All right. And then the last one that I have as far as my bottles for is, no surprise in some respects, it is Assad by Lattafa. This one is supposed to be a clone of Sauvage Elixir. Now, here's the thing. When I first got this, because this is one of the first clones that are first fragrances as I was getting into my collecting phase, I should say. And when I first smelled it, it did remind me a lot of Sauvage Elixir. Has that same kind of spiciness, those same kind of notes in there. It's not a one-to-one. Now, because my nose, I've gotten, a little more developed with my nose for scents, I can pick up on some of the differences, some of the nuances between it and Elixir, Sauvage. But here's the thing that for me as a takeaway is that for the average person who smells something like this, like the Assad, and who does not necessarily know or have, the nose to break down or really kind of distinguish scents, because it smelled so close to me, especially in the early phase, it kind of showed me that some of these things that we're quibbling over, to the average person that's not in this hobby, to the average person that's not collecting this, not doing this as a pastime or a thing of that nature, you can pick up great scents for not a whole lot of money. Still gonna get a bottle of Sauvage Elixir, but this kind of is a good one to have if you want that kind of feel, that scent, but without necessarily that cost. And this is one that has gotten lots of compliments. Don't wear as much, again, common theme, because it is hot here, so I have to think of my freshies when I'm more here in Phoenix, but definitely is one that does get some compliments, and that is, again, Assad by Lattafa. All right, and then the last one is really an honorable mention, just because I no longer have the bottle. It was actually a bottle I've had for quite a while. And it was a smaller bottle. I think it was like a 1.7 or something. And it is Mont Blanc Explorer. That one for me was a compliment monster. That was one that almost every time I wore it, I got compliments. And as evidenced by, I did work quite a lot. Again, as I started building my collection, of course, I kind of differentiated and diversified some, but even as I had that one, and that was my main one, that was one that I was getting compliments on almost left and right. And it is a great scent, probably something I'll add back in. You'll notice I probably have a few that are in that Creed vein, so I may wait a little while just because I want to work through some of my Creeds or Creed adjacent ones and really get into some other notes and some other fragrances. But it is definitely something that will probably be back in my collection sooner than later. But listen, that's it. That's my most complimented fragrances so far. Interesting to see what this list will look like a little later this year or even next year. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if there are things on here that you're getting compliments on as well, or other things that maybe I need to check out because they are some great scents. That's it for this one. As always, I ask everyone on this channel to do me a favor: stay safe, stay sane, and stay smelling good. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.